Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason, please. We are, it's kind of unbelievable, heading into week 5 of the fascist Trump regime. It seems both much, much longer and much, much shorter. Credit where credit is due. They're accomplishing a lot, by which I mean breaking a lot of shit very thoroughly. Okay, so very happy to be with you. Happy to have you here. Let's dive into your questions. Here's from Chestnut 127. If Zelensky has to go through with this extortion plan for Ukraine's mineral rights, could a new administration in 2028 overturn it? Yes, theoretically. This is extraordinarily worrisome, which is an understatement. This whole thing, Zelensky offering to step down in the hopes that that will somehow give Ukraine more leverage, which personally I think is a mistake because Donald will hate anybody leading Ukraine who doesn't capitulate entirely. And the mineral thing, like, for what? For what? I mean, they're going to do what they are going to do regardless. So I think Ukraine should hang on to what it belongs to it. And the EU and other allies across the world, which they need to find need to step up. Because depleting Ukraine of its natural resources is not the way forward here. And the only position is Ukraine being a sovereign, independent, democratic nation with a democratically elected president was illegally invaded by a hostile foreign power. And all of the territory seized by that hostile foreign power, the only way to end this is for that territory to be returned, for Ukraine to be returned to its previous borders, and for peacekeepers to be placed in Ukraine to make sure that this never happens again. I also think that there should be massive sanctions against Russia, but without the United States helping out, I don't know how effective that's going to be. It's a very tricky situation. I think it's very important to remember the only reason we're here is because of Donald Trump, because he's a fucking traitor and a fascist, and he is beholden to Vladimir Putin in ways that we cannot imagine. From Tracy, question, why is the felonious idiot? I like felonious idiot. That rolls trippingly off the tongue. Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to say it again. Why is the felonious idiot so obsessed with owning everything? Well, psychology. I mean, I think the simplest way to put this is that my grandparents had 5 children, and every single one of them was a destroyed human being. Not damaged, not broken, like many of us, destroyed. And my grandfather was a sociopath who believed that the only thing that mattered was money. Literally. Well, no, sorry. Literally and figuratively, I guess is the way of putting it. The only currency in my family was money. It stood in for everything else. If you were valued in any way, because love, please, if you were valued in any way, you got money. And if you weren't, you didn't. Donald got a lot of money, not because he was loved, because he was valued in a very specific way by my grandfather. So it stood in for everything else that those 5 children did not get. And ironically, by being my grandfather's preferred child, it destroyed Donald even worse than the rest of them, except for my dad, who was destroyed in a completely different way because he remained a kind, decent human being until he died when he was 42. Denisa, Mary Trump Media, I am relatively new to politics. What a time. What a time to jump in. Okay. Question. Could you explain how Mitch McConnell is a traitor with a little bit of detail? If you do it in a separate video, that's fine with me. We probably should do that in a separate video, but I'll give you the short version. Mitch McConnell has been a senator for, I don't know, somebody could tell me, but I think it's 427 years he was a senator. And he became majority leader. He was majority leader for, I'm not sure if 2 decades, but a very long time. That is an extraordinarily powerful position to have in the United States government. You're one of the most powerful people in the country. So McConnell, say what you will about him, was actually brilliant when it came to understanding how the Senate works. He was brilliant at finding loopholes. He was brilliant at using the actual rules of Senate procedure to destroy democracy. I mean, it's actually quite impressive until you take a step back and realize what his agenda actually was. So that made it very difficult for Democrats to check him because procedurally he was following the rules. Hence, Merrick Garland not getting confirmation hearings, not even getting meetings with senators when Barack Obama had the constitutional right to nominate whomever he chose to be on the Supreme Court. That's how we got Neil Gorsuch, and then Brett Kavanaugh, and then Amy Coney Barrett, and God knows who we're going to get in the next 4 years. I have said this before. It's worth repeating. Mitch McConnell is the greatest traitor to this country, at least until present day, since Robert E. Lee. But he's worse in this specific way. At least Robert E. Lee and the Confederates declared their hostility by breaking away from the United States. They tried to destroy us from without. Mitch McConnell has succeeded in destroying us from within. Tracy, question. How worried should we be about the... Oh, sorry. There's the felonious idiot again. I'm getting a t-shirt with that on it. How worried should we be about the felonious idiot's long live the king tweet? Well, I think that we should be worried about anything that suggests he is gunning for an imperial presidency, which he kind of already has, actually. But, he's already on his way to being a dictator, or at least allowing Elon Musk to become one, right? So Donald's monarchical ambitions are actually a little weird. And I think they say more about his psychopathologies than anything else. But I mean, no more or less worried than we should be about the fact that they're actually getting away with all of this. They're seizing power, they're accruing power, they're denying power to other branches of government, and usurping that for themselves. So the tweet, he's going to tweet whatever he tweets. What is worrisome is that they're actually acting on this stuff. Also, though, the tweet with the bizarre fake Time magazine cover of him dressed like a king in Edwardian England was so embarrassing. So that's good. Lizzie Beth, question. Why would J.D. Vance choose to associate himself with the Trump administration? He's got to know MAGAs are calling him every kind of race traitor. Quick note about the word maggots. I used to say that all the time because it's like kind of perfect, right? And then I thought about it. I was like, well, that's kind of the equivalent of calling somebody vermin. And as soon as I realized that, it made me a little uncomfortable. So I don't do it anymore. Obviously, anybody can classify these people however they want, but I just want to flag that because I did that for a long time, and then I suddenly came to my senses. I suddenly had this realization that that's sort of dehumanizing, and that's what they're trying to do. So maybe let's not do that. But again, whatever you guys, it's just my take. But it is a great question because this is sort of the perpetual question about what's going on in the fascist Republican Party. How is it that so many of these people are ostensibly supporting somebody against their own self-interest? Somebody who is in a marriage with somebody who does not conform to MAGA stereotypes, right? Or somebody who's Jewish or somebody who's gay or on and on and on. Well, the truth of the matter is, I mean, it's not the same answer for everybody, so I'll stick to JD Vance. 1, he is very weak man. And 2, he's a fascist. And 3, like many of these other people, he thinks that he and his wife and his family will be just fine because he's so loyal. He will find out the very, very hard way that that is not the case. Michael, thank you very much. Task and Crockett 2028. I don't know who's, I apologize. Task. I don't know. Sorry, but Crockett, absolutely. With you all the way there. Lorianne, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. There we go. That's what I thought maybe you were gunning for. Raskin Crockett 2028. Yeah. However, I just want to, I need the Democrats to show us more right now. But if they do, and if things continue, and and if they figure this one out and they do what they need to do with the upcoming budget negotiations, that's a great ticket. That is a great ticket. They are both exceptional people. Barbara, question. Mary, have you ever read Plato's definition of hubris and warnings about democracy? They describe Donald. I probably have, because I love Plato and I've read a lot of it. I'm assuming this was in the Republic. I haven't read the Republic in a very, very long time. So I am not going to pretend that I have the answer to that question. But let's put it this way. Plato was quite accurate about democracy in many, many ways. And warned in his way against people like Donald, who basically is incapable of putting himself, putting other people above or before his own self-interests. Sophocles wrote a lot about that too. So, basically never trust a leader who is so selfish that they never put the interests of the people ahead of their own. I am paraphrasing, obviously. Man from the West 420. Question. Have you ever seen Donald actually laugh? No. And why? Why is that? Like, what a thing to deny yourself. Like, he chortles or he laughs a little bit, like when somebody did something cruel and he finds that amusing. But laugh, like the kind of laugh, okay, like one of the most glorious things as a human being is to laugh so uncontrollably you can barely stand, right? To laugh so hard that you're crying and you just can't stop. And you don't really want to until it starts hurting. At which point, yeah, maybe we should stop doing this. So why is it? Because it's not like Donald actually does have a sense of humor. It's a terrible one. And it's almost always at the expense of other people. But he knows what humor is. So why would somebody not allow themselves to do that? Well, what happens when you're laughing that hard? You are so vulnerable. You are so vulnerable. Like you can't fend anything off. You can barely stand. People as sick, as psychologically disordered as he is in the way he is, cannot ever be vulnerable. His ego is a very, very fragile thing. And it is just too terrifying, which is part of the problem, right? I mean, it's why he's barely human. Great question. Thank you for asking it. Sherry, question. Mary, do you think Felon will find a way to shut down independent media? Yeah, well, no. I mean, we're not going to let that happen. I think that they're going to go after cable first. And I don't think they're going to, stop it. They're going to make corporate media change their lineups and change their programming and change their, you know, I don't know, try their way of approaching politics, right? So we're going to get more like CNN's already Fox Light, so that's going to keep shifting to the right, um, and that's scary enough. As for independent media, I guess one question like how like think about all, and I'm not saying they're not capable of it. I'm not saying they're not thinking about it, but that's a project. And it is, but of course, it's something we should be absolutely vigilant about and doing our best to protect against. But we're not going anywhere. From Ms. Martian, question: why does that person tilt his head when talking so often? Because he's weird. I don't know. I don't know, actually. I think he's always kinda done it. My grandmother did that. It's very eerie sometimes. He looks like my like, when he juts out his chin and tilts his head. It's eerie, I'm telling you. It's eerie. So I guess it's genetic, and thankfully it skipped me. So if I ever start doing that, please let me know. Kathy, question: what can we do to help Mary? You're here. That's well, I mean, 1, you're here. 2, please check. I've said this before. I think it's worth it bearing in mind. We have a lot of videos. We have pre-recorded videos that are more deep dives into what we consider like among the most important topics of any given day. Those are absolutely worth checking out. We have our live show Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, Mary Trump Live. It's very originally named. We have other new shows dropping. So, watch those, share those, like those, and of course, subscribe to the channel. And if you have, ask other people to subscribe because we're on a roll here, and it's because of you guys. So thank you for asking. From Honey, Be More Serious. Great name. Question: is it true that if you're married and carry your husband's name, they're trying to take your the right to vote away? Yes, it is true, because apparently it's still 1850. Yes, it's called the Save Act, and it's essentially meant to take a chainsaw. Sorry, I shouldn't have used chainsaw. Not the Elon Musk kind of chainsaw, just a metaphorical chainsaw to voting rights. And you think, well, that affects Republican women too. Well, first of all, they don't care about women anyway. And secondly, they're probably worried that there are a lot of Republican women who started voting Democrat. And this way, only their husbands get to vote for the whole household. Yeah, that's where we are. Sorry. Okay, Christopher, question: have you heard any updates on whether or not anything's done to fix the huge issues with the FAA layoffs? I'm assuming airline companies are losing a lot of revenue and something has to give. Yeah, something really has to give. I haven't heard any updates since Friday, but nothing's going in the right direction at all. And I have to get on a plane soon. So the thing to know is this. We should be worried, and it's unconscionable and evil what they're doing to the FAA and to flight safety, endangering people's lives, etc. But a couple of things. One, I don't know this, but I'm making an assumption because I'm pretty sure pilots don't want to get killed in plane crashes either. I'm pretty sure that airlines don't want their planes falling out of the sky either. So my hope is that airlines are doing something about it. There's that. The other thing to remember is that flying is still the safest way to transport yourself from point A to point B. So hang on to that. But the fact that that is even a question, that we even have to talk about this, kind of shows you where we are. Barbara, Question, Mary, have you ever thought of the connection of the victim blaming Donald's doing to Ukraine and the victim blaming people like him due to sexual assault victims? Well, I mean, in the broadest sense, it's like dynamically similar. When you blame I mean, not just sexual assault victims, but generally women victims of anything. Yeah. But I think it's more about, which is hideous, and obviously what people like Donald do after sexually assaulting them. This is more about Putin. This is more about Donald's being beholden to Putin. This is more about Donald's psychopathological inability to withstand criticism or to be challenged in any way. He's a vengeful little asshole. I mean, seriously. So, but I mean, broadly speaking, again, the commonality there is that Ukraine is the victim, and in a very specific way, the weaker party. So other than that, though, I think it's a little, it's not quite it's not quite the same thing. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Pearface, thank you so much. Super sticker. That's very, very generous of you. Thank you. Jacqueline, another super sticker. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. That's great. Carol, question, can your uncle do away with disability, Medicare, and Social Security? Well, he's going to try. And the question is whether or not congressional Republicans will do anything to stop him. It's not looking good so far because, I mean, I don't think, it's not like Social Security is going to go away overnight, but there will be delays. A lot of people will suffer needlessly in the meantime. And from what I'm understanding, some Republicans, especially those in vulnerable districts, are complaining weekly behind the scenes, but none of them is coming out publicly. And given how some Republicans have been treated in town halls recently, I'm guessing they never will. And they'll also probably never hold town halls anymore because they're actually vicious cowards and fascists. Because I'm sorry, at this point, if you're okay with all of this, you're just as bad. From Brant, question, Mary, my aunt always said her house was built by Fred Trump. Could you describe what your grandparents' house was like? When you entered, was there a hallway, and where were the rooms? Well, that's a little complicated because it was a fairly big house. My grandfather, as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, did not build houses. He only built residential apartment buildings. So I know that my grandparents' house was built from scratch. But there was an architect, not a very good one actually, but no, it was sort of a grandiose. I mean, it wasn't insane given how wealthy he was. It was not for the neighborhood it was in. It was pretentious, but it wasn't like this massive. I think there were like 4 bedrooms. It wasn't crazy. It was hideous and very badly decorated. But again, I'm not aware that he ever built a house, but I could be wrong because that does happen sometime. And I, unlike everybody else I'm related to, have no problem admitting it. Trance, question. So many progressives feel defeated and have lost momentum. Do you see anyone in the Democratic Party who could be a potential leader, Ty Turner to rally us? You know what, Trance? I've been thinking about that a lot. There are people, ultimately, I think, because, okay, so there's a difference between Democrats who can be president someday, hopefully in 4 years, and Democrats who can lead us through this. Just giving you my sense. I'm not being cynical. I'm not being negative. This is just my sense of things. Given what I've been seeing since the election, my guess right now is that the leaders of the movement through and out of this are not politicians. Hopefully, the politicians will step up, but that's my sense. And I think part of that is because it's easier to do this from the outside because you're not bound by the things that the Democrats in the Senate and the House of Representatives are bound by. But in terms of presidential material, yes, I see lots of potential there. Just need to get there first, though. Mom to Huskies question: will Donald Muskrat shut down Social Security? I know Muskrat is trying to say 150-year-olds are on benefits. Yeah, they're trying. They're absolutely trying by convincing stupid people that there's this massive corrupt scheme going on to steal money, to have dead people steal money from us. Now, the truth of the matter is approximately 90,000 people who have died. And again, this is a rounding error. It may be fewer, it may be more. That is a tiny, tiny number. It just it does in the context of how many millions of people are in this country, 90,000. Even if it were the number, that happens. When people die, the paperwork doesn't get filed, or the heirs move, or what have you. I mean, it just happens. Now, last week, that vile press secretary actually said on live television that the number of dead people in this country receiving false or illegitimately receiving Social Security checks is in the tens of millions, which is insane. But that's one of the ways they're trying to go after this. So I guess the problem is that there are so many people who are willing to believe such a brazen and outrageous lie. Laura, question: whatever happened to job creation? Will these people who have lost their jobs go on public services, need unemployment benefits, food banks, or welfare? Well, obviously, I mean, it depends. That's going to happen on a case-by-case basis. But jobs creation, they don't care. They lied about everything. Too many people weren't paying attention. They lied about everything. And we know that they were lying because we had Project 2025, which is exactly the blueprint, the fascist blueprint by which our so-called government is being run. So, yes, a lot of people will need unemployment benefits if they exist. They will need to get their food from food banks. They will need welfare if such a thing exists. Because remember, all of the, a lot of, I should say, these support, whether they're charities or non-governmental organizations who do things like run food banks and shelter people, et cetera, they get some funding from the federal government. That may not happen anymore. So it's a terrible situation. And yeah, obviously there are some civil servants getting fired but their spouse still has their job, or they're single and they don't have kids, so they have enough whatever the case, but it doesn't matter. It's awful. People's lives are getting upended, careers, decades-long careers are getting destroyed because these fascists don't care. Sarah, question: Mary, looking at both actions and nonverbal behavior, who owns whom? Does Donald control Elon, or does Elon have the upper hand? Elon has the upper hand. There's no doubt about that. There's no question about that. Donald is I mean, to the extent that he ever had it, he's losing it. He is not in control of much of anything. And as long as he sticks to his, stays in his lane and just keeps lying and hating the right people and giving the green light to letting Elon destroy and dismantle whatever he wants so he can steal whatever he wants, Donald is useful. He's not in control. So not only is he not in control, and we have a fledgling dictator in control who, unelected, unconfirmed, unvetted, no FBI background checks. This is unconstitutional. We also don't have a leader. What a time to be alive. Andres, thank you so much. It's very kind of you. After all of what MAGA is doing, Donald Trump is doing at home and over the world, I think maggots is nice. Democrats need to stop being so nice. It's not okay. Fair point. I'm not policing anybody's language. I'm just giving you my opinion. It's not about being nice. It's not about pulling punches. I call them fascists all the time. Unless you're like, think that's okay. Right? They're vile, horrible, despicable, cruel people. I will say the most vicious things about them because they are all true. However, reducing people to vermin, to insects, is a slippery slope because we're not like them. And even though they are all of the things I said, they are still human beings. Do they need to be stopped? Yes. Do we need to fight them with everything that we have? Yes. But they need to be held accountable in a way that we can live with. That is all I'm saying. Okay. Thank you for your comment and your donation. I appreciate it. Brant, thank you so very much. Comment. I read your grandfather was a cheapskate and Donald didn't have a luxury childhood. Did he have his own room or walk to school? Okay, so my grandfather was extraordinarily cheap. He had a chauffeur-driven limousine, but that's because he couldn't drive very well. And like I said, like the house was, it was a big house, and but he was not an extravagant person. And I think my grandparents had essentially two separate sets of children. My Aunt Marianne was 10 years older than Donald, and my dad was like 7 or 8 years older than Donald. And my Uncle Rob was younger than Donald. And then my Aunt Elizabeth was kind of in the middle, like 4 years younger and older. So my Aunt Marianne and Dad had very different childhoods. They were ascetic. My dad's bedroom, we called it the cell. Okay, it was like a closet. My grandfather was very hard on them, and my Aunt Marianne would tell me that they were raised like her words, not mine, poor white trash. She and my dad took the subway to school, but went to private schools, went to camp, so it was confusing, probably. Donald and Rob, on the other hand, was much later, and also, so anyway, I think Donald definitely had a different experience like that growing up, and whether or not he took this up, it's very difficult for me to imagine, but he probably did because the school we all went to, except for my dad, was in Forest Hills, which is a bit of a hike. So, the subway was the best way to get there. I know, and everybody had their own room except Donald and Robert shared one. And it looked like a poorly decorated business hotel room. It's my grandmother. She had an eye. Katie, question. How long do you think it will take MAGA followers to realize they were duped? Doesn't seem like they're getting the message yet. What will it take to open their eyes? Well, I think we need to distinguish between the base and Republican voters who just weren't paying attention. I think the Republican voters who weren't paying attention are finally starting to get it, but there's a significant and not small percentage of the base that will never get it, ever. Ever. They will always find somebody else to blame. They will always worship the least worthy person who has ever lived in human history. Always. And I'm at this point, I don't feel bad for them. Sorry. I don't. But it's still sad. Because seriously, like all three elections, if they had any interest in hearing anything I had to say, which they didn't and do not and never will, all I want is for those people who hate me to have universal health care and childcare and clean environment and water and air, all that stuff. They want people like me dead. Cool. See the difference? It's a little different. Laura, so very, very generous. Super sticker. We very much appreciate that. Michael, thank you so very much. Comment. The Orange Demon and Elon are planning to case Fort Knox for the gold. Yeah, if you guys don't know what that's about, I refer you to yesterday's episode of Trump Trolls Trump. We covered Donald's freaky conversation with reporters aboard, I assume aboard Air Force One, during which he's like says, I think he says Fort Knox like 700 times. It's just so weird. And he's fixated on the gold. They're going to Fort Knox to make sure the gold is still there. Yeah, liar. You're going there to see how easy it will be for you to steal it. Gold, however, is very heavy, and Donald is very weak. Linda, thank you so much. Super sticker. Edie, thank you as well. Very kind of both of you, both super stickers. CBB, thank you very much. That's great. Question. Mary, did you see Elon Musk coming? Thank you for your soothing voice. I try. I would never not have described it that way, but you're welcome. I knew we were in trouble when Musk took over Twitter. Did I see this coming? No. I don't know anybody did. But the more he turned Twitter into a fascist hellscape and started suppressing some people who shall not be named a lot, and elevating, the Nazis and the white supremacists and the white nationalists, that was a huge red flag. But when he started inserting himself into the election in the ways in which he did, yeah, we can't prove anything, but I'm pretty sure, like, you can't. It would be very difficult to convince me that Musk did not buy this election. So I knew that we were in a lot of trouble because nobody was doing anything. I mean, what can you do? Chief Justice John Roberts of the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court made sure that this kind of thing was inevitable with his egregious Citizens United decision and his assault on voting rights over the decades, because he is a horrible person who hates democracy. Probably not the best person to put in charge of the Supreme Court or even on it, but we have 6 of them now. So, but this, no. I mean, if anybody did, please, I don't know, buy a lottery ticket. Tracy, thank you so very much. Karen, question. If you could get every Democrat in the United States to stop and just do one thing this week, what would you want us to do? Oh, no pressure. Wow. Let's see. I like, we need to be protesting a lot more. So maybe start a protest, find one, sign up for one. We should have protests all the time, everywhere, and they need to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that has to happen. So maybe start there, because we need to be out in the streets. Yeah, I could say run for something, but the election's in 2026. I mean, yeah, do that too. But I mean, for the immediate, we need to be rising up and lifting up our voices and doing it in as coordinated a way as possible. Start networking with people who are interested in doing that. A lot of people are working on things like that. I'll say that for now. So yeah, jump in. Great question. Sonia, thank you very much. That's very generous of you, and we appreciate it. Comment. Not every Republican is an asshole, but every asshole is a Republican. I've never met a Democrat that I didn't like. I'm from Arizona, so this should explain my opinion. Well, okay. I want to. Not every Republican is. I'm not so sure about that anymore. I'm well. Let's. I honestly, I don't know how anybody could be a Republican. I do not know. Okay, so that having been said, obviously there are Republicans who did not vote for Donald. But so I'll just be more specific. Anybody who voted for Donald is an asshole and is not deserving of anything other than to be barred from participating in polite society. Nighthawk Predator, thank you so much. Very kind. Comment. Every time I curse, I have to give you $1. You only swore 5 times? Come on. You could do better than that. How about this? Every time I swear. No, that would get dangerous. Thank you for that. That's great. Dash. Question. Did you like Okay. Did you like anchovies in a Caesar salad? I never did, but also I'm a vegetarian now. So if I had a Caesar salad, I would have to have it without anchovies. But yeah, anchovies, not my thing, even though I love seafood, but mostly like lobster and clam chowder. Oh, tuna, like pan-seared, practically raw tuna, the best. But anchovies, not so much. Thank you for that curveball. That was great. Tia Mia, super sticker. Thanks as always. Very kind of you. Carol, question. Mary, do you think that our ex-president should be speaking out? I think our ex-presidential candidates should be speaking out. Yes, indeed. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's gobsmacking to me. Wait, who's left? Bill Clinton, Joe Biden. That includes Kamala Harris because she was a candidate. George W. Bush is never going to do anything. He's a waste of space. Barack Obama. I don't know. It's bizarre to me and inexplicable. And I have lots of thoughts about it, which I will share another time. Kevin, question. Do you see a similarity between Donald and Caligula? Other than Donald's extreme age? Sure. Donald is deeply depraved person. Deeply depraved person. It's a very good thing for a lot of people that he is as old as he is. Okay, just a quick thing about there's some tech issues apparently. Sometimes I don't have the best internet where I am right now, but I'll be back in New York soon. So that'll solve all the problems. So anyway, so there's a little bit of a lag. So that's why there's a glitch in some of this. So bear with us. Won't last forever. Yeah, so I mean I never personally met Caligula, but you know, I think Donald couldn't, it's just not possible in this day and age. Well, I shouldn't say that, but you know, in our current circumstances, like Donald could not engage in those kinds of excesses in the way Caligula did so publicly and horrifically. But yeah, he's a terrible, terrible person. Paula, super sticker, thank you so very much. Greg, question. Have you thought of doing a book tour in Australia, New Zealand? It's summer down there. You can surf like Elvis. I probably can't surf like Elvis, but I want to learn how to scuba dive. Yeah, I love Australia. I've only been there once. I was only in Sydney, but I love it. I would absolutely love to go to Australia and New Zealand. So hopefully that'll happen. I don't think I have a publisher down there for my latest book. So maybe, Greg, maybe you can work on that. No, I'm kidding. That is definitely on my list of things to do next year. Also, because I want to go to the Australian Open really badly. Marianne, thank you very, very much. Comment. Thanks, love your videos. Thank you. We love doing them. Love from Sydney, Australia. See, Sydney, amazing people, amazing place. I couldn't understand a lot of people, and I almost got killed many, many times crossing the street because I was looking the wrong way. Other than that, fabulous city. Seriously, fabulous city. Shelly, thank you so much. Super sticker. Kitty, thank you as well. Another super sticker. Ward, question. Mary, did any adults in 45's childhood ever attempt to tell him not to use profanities in front of clergy, elderly women, children, out of respect for them? He seemed to be raised in a frat house. Well, he was raised in my grandparents' house, which was not a frat house, but it was worse. Not in the way you're thinking. But Donald, for fairly complicated reasons, was undisciplinable by a certain point. My grandmother despaired of him. My grandfather couldn't be bothered because Donald was the second son. So my father was the one who was supposed to matter. And, because of their age difference, Donald got to witness a lot of things that helped shape him. And then, it took a while before my grandfather had decided that it wasn't going to be my dad, it was going to be Donald. But in the meantime, my grandfather could not be bothered. My grandmother, he made my grandmother miserable. And so that's why he got sent to military school, which was a rich kids reform school when he was in 8th grade, which did not help him. Brent, thank you so much again. Question, were your grandparents sleep deprived like Donald? My grandfather needed very little sleep, but he was a sociopath, so I don't think that had any impact on him at all. My grandmother, who had lots of my grandmother, who had a pretty serious personality disorder, also had a sleep disorder. And, my dad sometimes would just, in the middle of the night, find her like wandering around the house. And one night he actually found her on a stepladder painting, like 4 in the morning. She was not a well person at all. So, but I don't think that's with Donald. I'm not really sure. He clearly has a sleep disorder, but it's not clear if it's because he's addicted to caffeine because he drinks like 12 Diet Cokes a day. Like, imagine if he didn't have access to Diet Coke. That might solve all of our problems. That's fucking awesome, Nighthawk. Thank you so much. That you can't help yourself. That's really great. Thank you. You made me laugh. Magnificent Lies. Thank you very much for that. Comment. Funeral industry standard is to report deaths to Social Security Administration as a part of securing death certificates for the bereaved. There are no dead people on benefits. Yeah, look, that is probably true, and you're absolutely right about how that happens. I'm just saying that maybe things, it's massive. The Social Security Administration basically impacts every single American. It is massive. So will things fall through the cracks sometimes? Sure. But again, 90,000 out of hundreds of millions is a rounding error. So the fact that they're saying tens of millions is just so obscenely, obviously a lie. But that's what they do. And there are way too many people programmed to believe them. That's the problem. Diana, thank you very much. Very generous of you. Question. Mary, with more and more commercial news outlets bending to pressure, do you think that independent media online will become more powerful? Here's hoping. Like, that's our plan. Absolutely. Like, we are here. We are ready. I already think that corporate media has abdicated its responsibilities. Are there really good people still doing really good work? Absolutely. Absolutely. But they're doing it for companies that do not care. They don't care about democracy. They don't care about content. They don't care about their viewers. They don't care about the future of this company, and is in so much as it's separate and apart from their bottom line. That is not the case here. That is not the case with other independent media. Our mission is to tell you guys the truth and to keep you informed and to give you a perspective that we think will be helpful to you. We're not beholden to anybody except you, and it's to do those things I just said. So that's the difference, and it's a crucial one. Claire, super sticker, thank you very, very much. KJ Crafts, thank you as well to you. Also, being Nancy, both of you super stickers, we very much appreciate it. Sorry, I'm going to mispronounce this. I apologize. Gilo 2023, thank you very much. Very generous of you. Comment, I come here for the intelligence and stay for the camaraderie. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, that's absolutely, the camaraderie here is phenomenal, and it's down to you guys. So thank you. From Bigamash, a comment, Mary, please tell everyone not to buy anything, especially from Amazon, Home Depot, Walmart, etc. on February 28th. Yes, guys, it's February 28th, which is, I think, Friday, is a blackout day. Do not shop at any big corporate store like Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, etc. That has aligned itself with this fascist regime. And everybody's situation is different. I get that. Some people live in food deserts. Some people, the only store within a reasonable driving distance is a Home Depot or a Walmart or, what have you. I understand that. But for one day, do your best if you can to buy locally. There are lots of great local businesses, restaurants, etc. to support. Obviously you want to make sure that they're worthy of your support. Also, some big stores are stepping up, like Costco. Costco deserves your business. Absolutely. They're walking the walk. So thank you for reminding me. February 28th. I'm assuming it has a name. So let me figure out what it's called. But do not forget. So yeah, just not shopping at those places is a very good way to protest with your money, because that's all they care about, sadly. Jay, thank you so much. That's very generous of you. Ginger, thank you very much. It's very kind. Comment, grateful for you, Mary. Grateful for you. Debbie, super sticker, thank you very much. Oops, sorry. Renee, question, do you see anything promising happening soon? Wow. Well, yes, I do, actually. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens on Friday, February 28th. I love that that's happening. Other than that, we're seeing people showing up to town halls and speaking truth to power. That is so vitally important. So that is definitely giving me hope, as it should give all of us hope. And it's also an object lesson and something you can do. Find out where the town halls are. Show up. Speak out. I think we're going to have to get to the point where we're all going to have to be willing, not all of us, but those of us who can, are going to have to be willing to engage in some nonviolent civil disobedience and maybe get arrested. I would consider it a badge of honor. But we'll pick we'll pick the right time and place for that. But right now, I love seeing the protests, and the generic ballot for Democrats is very, very good right now, which is great. But, it's still 2025 and we have a lot to get through. Barbara, question. What pizza toppings do you like? Well, when it comes to pizza, I'm a bit of a purist. Pretty much the only topping I will order is black olives. When I was a kid and still a carnivore, we would get meatballs, onions, and mushrooms, which sounds vile to me now. But yeah, either margarita or black olives. Susan, question. I want to donate some money. How do I do this? I should know the answer to that question. Somebody is going to tell me very quickly, and then I will tell you. Let's see. Okay, so you can donate it as a super sticker. How, you ask, do you become a super sticker? I'm going to tell you that very shortly as well. Basically, you have a link. If you go to your YouTube settings, you can become a super sticker and donate that way. Can you tell? I know how this place runs. No, I don't. But thank you. That's very kind of you. I hope I didn't make it harder for you, because that would be counterproductive. Just me. Thank you so much, Just Me. That's great. I definitely want to comment. Come back to Sydney, have a mango or two off our tree. That sounds amazing. I'm there. I seriously, Sydney to me, other people may disagree. It's sort of like a combination of New York and San Francisco. It just has like the coolest vibe. The people are so nice. Those I could understand anyway. No, seriously, it's just such a great place. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. Like I could, if it weren't halfway around the world, it's a city I could live in. Carol, question. Mary, do you think there should be an age limit to be president? You know what? I don't know. I think that's kind of a slippery slope. What I do think there should be what's the word? Barriers to entry other than you have to be older than 35. You have to have been born here and you have to have lived here for 50 years. Are you fucking kidding me? Now, of course, there is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which says that if you're an insurrectionist, you can't run for higher office in this elected office in this country. Oops. So we need more, obviously. I said this 4 years ago. Nothing happened. Shocking. We need to make sure that we, what is the word I'm looking for? There's so many things in how we run our government that are kind of amorphous, and we counted too much on traditions and norms and shame to get people to do the right thing. No. We are so many light years beyond that. That is not going to do it anymore. We need to, and I can't think of this flippin' word. We need to make official. If you want to be president of the United States of America, you need to be able to pass an FBI background check, for one. 2, you cannot be a convicted felon. 3, you cannot be indicted on over 4 dozen criminal charges. 4, you cannot be out on bail in 3 separate jurisdictions. You see where I'm going with this, right? And yet, nope. Since the third Section 3 of the 14th Amendment is no longer operative, 35 or older, born here, lived here for at least 15 consecutive years. It is such bullshit. It is such a terrible, terrible way to run a country this large, this complex. And also, like, have a fucking qualification. Okay, so Kelly, thank you very much. Comment. I think the Republicans will prop Donald up as long as he can hold a Sharpie. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. He's in there until he starts becoming, I was going to say embarrassing, uncontrollable. And then that 25th Amendment, That'll happen right quick. Shannon, super sticker. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate it. Carmen, another super sticker. Thank you too, Carmen. That's great. Gerald, thank you very much. Comment. Thank you for what you're doing. Please keep it up. You're welcome. And we have every intention of keeping it up. I kind of feel like this is why we're here. So let's make the most of it, shall we? Kaja, thank you so very much. Comment, hey, remember the zombies need their income too. Well, as I said the other day, as long as they don't spend it all in one place. Yeah, I agree. Cheryl, super sticker, thank you so very much. Pam Klein, thank you very much. Monty, thanks to you as well. Dagger 78, thanks to you also. All super stickers. It's excellent. Christopher, thank you very much for that. Comment, there's also a week-long Amazon boycott happening March 7th to 14th and a 40-day Target store boycott starting March 3rd. Please let people know to stay updated with additional boycotts as well. Thanks, Christopher. That's great to know. We will be keeping people updated, as we get closer to those dates. And yeah, I am committed as soon as unfortunately with Amazon Prime, it lasts a year. Soon as mine's up, I will never, ever, ever re-up again. And to the extent that it's possible, like any Amazon Prime shows I have, if I can get them on DVD, I will get them on DVD if I can, or not, or I just won't watch them anymore. Oh, well, and hope that, other streaming services pick up the Amazon Prime shows I like. That happens. So again, I know that for a lot of people that it's not possible because some places just don't have a lot of options. However, I think we could do it for a week, right? 40 days is a long time, but those of us who can, please, the more of us join those kinds of efforts, the better. Dr. Liz, super sticker. Thank you very much. It's very generous of you. Sybil, thank you as well. Mary and Susan Reed in the chat feed. There is a money icon. Look, there's a money icon. Doesn't matter. So you press the money icon and then enter your information and then hit the buy button. Voila. Thank you, Sybil. That's really helpful. And now I know something I should have known. Just me. Thank you so much. Very generous. To donate, do not pass go. Do collect $200 and look at the end of the chat input rectangle. Look at you guys. Crowdsourcing, my job. Okay. Look at the end of the chat input rectangle where you're, I don't know what that is. Shoulder. Oh, sorry. Where you should see a $sign and click on that. Look, YouTube has all sorts of ways for people to give people money. It's great. Thank you for that. And the donation. And Shauna Harris, thank you so much. Says, thanks, Mary. Thanks to you. I'm very grateful for all of you. Thank you for being here tonight. Heading into week 5. So just very quickly, another super sticker. Penny, thank you so very much. And it's just me, T. Thank you very much. Who says, thank you as always, Mary. My thanks to you. And Marshall Gear, very generous. Thanks, guys. Okay, that does it for us. Heading into week 5, I think it's going to be a wild one. Don't forget, Friday, blackout. No shopping at the big box stores or whatever they're called. Sorry, I don't know. But the big corporate Amazon, Targets, Home Depots, etc., Walmarts. We'll keep you updated, and we'll obviously be talking about a lot in the run up. So tomorrow, every weeknight, Monday through Friday, Marriage Trump Live at 6 p.m. Eastern. So please join us for that. We've got videos dropping every single day. The nerds, obviously this week as well. So, check everything out. Again, like and share our videos, spread the word, please. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, we're really growing. And, the more we have, the quicker we can do that and kind of reach a tipping point, which is our goal. And obviously, after you subscribe, click on the bell icon, because that way you'll be notified every time new videos drop. All right, that does it for us. Thanks to our everybody watching on Twitter, everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, listening to the podcast, to our everybody commenting, our super stickers, people donating, our excellent moderators who make this a place everybody wants to be, which is fantastic. And of course, to my extraordinary team who keeps this show running, and me as well, actually. No task, I promise you. All right, that does it for us. Mercedes is nodding. I don't know how to take that, but okay. Anyway, guys, thank you. And we will see you back here next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I will actually be in Eastern time, which will make everybody's lives much easier. And I'll see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern for Marriage Trump Live. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great night. In the meantime, please stay safe and be kind. Bye.